It's funny because oftentimes people assume that the more money you have, the wealthier you are, the more money you need to spend. However, if you look at the facts, reality is often pretty different. For example, Warren Buffett, one of the wealthiest men on planet Earth, still drives a Cadillac to this day. So in this video, we'll bust down the myths surrounding wealth and I will explain why looking poor is important. Now, since it's probably the first time you and I meet, why should you listen to me? My name is Fred and I'm an entrepreneur from a lower middle class background. I went from having only $400 to my name over 5 years ago to making upwards of $1,000 a day with my own consulting business. Now, when you're trying to become financially free, the first stage you will find yourself in is what I call the grind mode. It's essentially when you're making between $0 per month all the way up to $5,000 per month. That can be the income that you make with your job or with your business. And during that stage, looking poor is extremely important. Now, don't get me wrong, I'm not saying you have to become sloppy because your image matters, and especially in business. But my point is, every cent, every dollar in your possession should be reinvested into your business. That's how you create exponential wealth. Because if you start taking money out of the company to invest it into personal things like restaurants, cars, travels, things like that, you prevent the snowball effect from happening in the first place. So during that stage, your main focus, your obsession in fact, should be to scale your business or your income to $10,000 per month. Now, if you were to try to do that with a job, it would take you decades to manage to get to the point where you actually earn 6 figures per year. But with a business, especially if you sell high-ticket products, it's only a matter of getting a handful of customers. If you were to sell an offer for $2,000, you would only need 5 customers to make $10,000 per month. And during that initial stage, you need to fall in love with the work. And I'm going to tell you what's going to happen if you don't reinvest every cent in the business. I knew a few people who became very successful. They went from barely making any money, struggling financially, to making $5,000 per month, $10,000 per month, even $20,000 per month. And I really get the temptation of spending that money, especially when you come from a lower income kind of family, because you've never seen that amount of money in your bank account. So of course you want to spend it. You want to experience life fully. Some people, they want to go to the club and spend $1,000 in one night just to see what it feels like. Other people would want to rent their favorite sports car and have fun. And there's nothing wrong with any of these things. The problem is there is a time and place for everything. And so what these newly successful entrepreneurs would do is that they would start to spend money carelessly. They would rent a Ferrari for a day or two just to flash, just to impress other people whose name they don't even know. And by the way, the funny thing is that when you do something like that, people just assume you're a lucky rich kid, a daddy's boy. They're not thinking, oh, this guy earned this supercar, he worked extremely hard for years. So believe me, if you want a sports car just to be able to flex, it's not going to have the intended effect at all. Now you may wonder, what happened to those guys? Well, the ones that didn't catch themselves in time lost everything. And I can assure you, there is nothing worse than getting a taste of freedom, of abundance, of a life of luxury, and then you're forced to go right back to square one, living an average mediocre life. So please be very careful. And it's perfectly normal to want to spend some of the money that you've made. After all, you've worked so hard to earn it. And if you know me, then you know my life philosophy is not just work for the sake of working and saving money. That's pointless. The reason people like you and I are willing to work extremely hard is so we can live a life that 99% of people will never get to experience. But like I said, there is a time and place for everything. I'll take myself as an example. I reinvest literally everything I make pretty much into my business. So whether it be by upgrading the quality of the equipment I use or the softwares I'm using, hiring, working with mentors, etc. And sometimes, I'll be honest, I do spend money on nice shit. If you want to see more of the behind the scenes, you can follow me on Instagram. My username is literally just my name. But I know for a fact, most people at the stage I'm at, they would already have rented some kind of Ferrari, or they would have already bought a Rolex or an expensive watch. But it's like, I'm playing the long-term game. Now, it doesn't matter who you are. It doesn't matter how old you are, where you come from. If you want to become financially free, the best possible way to do that is through your own business. So my philosophy is this: get rich quick, as quickly as possible with a business, and then get richer slowly with investments. Because the problem is, you've been told by so-called financial advisors to spend all your life saving some money and investing it in the stock market or things like that, so that one day you can finally retire with a nice pile of cash and do all the things you've always dreamed of. But there's a few problems with this approach. First, it means that when you're young, when you're in your 20s, your 30s, you won't really get to enjoy your life because you always have to delay the moment you'll actually have the necessary funds to do the things that you want. And to be able to save money and invest it, you need to restrain yourself even more on a daily basis. So it makes life no fun. There's plenty of people, they want to travel, for example, and they think, I'm going to do that when I'm retired. But first, nothing is ever guaranteed in life. You never have a guarantee that you'll actually be able to do that when you retire. You could have the money for sure, but what if for some reason you're in incredible pain or you've got some kind of terminal terminal disease and now you have to spend your whole days stuck in a hospital room, you might think, oh, it won't happen to me. But let me remind you, we're all going to die. You don't know what happens 10 years from now, so let alone 50 years from now. Growing up in the lower middle class, I would see my parents and even the other adults around me just working their job that they hated just to pay their living expenses, like to survive, but they were essentially all waiting for retirement and to collect their social security so they could finally start living. Now, if you ask me, I think that's messed up. If you want to take control of your financial future, you need to start a business. Now, I'm going to be completely honest with you. Online, you will find plenty of videos on what business to start, but most of those businesses are not beginner-friendly business models, and that's why 99% of people will fail. I can't really go too in-depth in this video, otherwise it's going to be 3 hours long, so to help you, I've recorded a free video in which I'm going to explain how I make upwards of $1,000 a day with a simple beginner-friendly business model, and in that same video, I'm going to reveal the 3 activities you need to focus on if you want to start making serious money. I will leave the link in the description below, or if you're committed to building your business and working with me closely, you can directly apply to book a free call and we'll see if we can help you. Now, one of the worst things that can happen to you is making it, becoming successful. Let's say you started your business, you were able to get a couple customers, and now you're making $5,000 per month, $10,000 per month. And now you start to spend money, but on shit that you don't like, just because it's expensive. Like you're going to buy some kind of Gucci t-shirt just because you want other people to perceive you in a certain way. I'm gonna be honest with you, you're never going to see me with some kind of Balenciaga or big Gucci logo because I don't like it. Like honestly, I just find the design ugly. I like to wear plain simple clothes that can look elegant, but there's no logo on my clothes. In fact, would you be able to guess how much this shirt costs? Let me know in the comments down below. But I've seen plenty of successful people time and again, they're going to start just upgrading their lifestyle, buying things that they don't like, but not even for themselves, just to portray an image of being more successful than they really are. I think doing the opposite is much cooler, to not show everything, because then the people who get to know you realize, wow, you actually have so much more than you actually showed to the world, and that is extremely impressive as opposed to doing it the other way around, like showing so much and then people realize, well, you actually have nothing, like you're massively in debt or something. Which is why, even if you're new money, you want to study the principles of old money, because old money is very good at one thing, and it's to retain that wealth. In business, what matters is not what you make, it's what you keep. There are plenty of business models like dropshipping or Amazon FBA that can make you a lot of money, but the problem is profit margins are extremely small when you sell physical products. On average, with dropshipping, you would have a profit margin of 9% to 20%, meaning if you made $10,000 in a month for dropshipping in profit, you would only keep between $900 up to $2,000, and that's before taxes. Whereas if you were to sell some kind of services or consulting, coaching, you would keep between 80% to 95% of what you make. Now, true wealth doesn't have to be displayed 24/7. The whole point of becoming wealthy is to be free, because as a kid I realized if you didn't have much money, you would suffer. I saw my parents breaking their backs only to earn breadcrumbs. They were underpaid, undervalued, and understaffed. Every single day, I would hear them complain about the price of food, about the price of bread, electricity, clothes, gas, things like that. We'd never really go on vacation, like we never explored other countries, while I would hear these wealthy kids at school living all these crazy experiences, visiting plenty of different countries. Every year they would get the latest iPhone, while at the time I didn't even have a phone. So growing up, I really felt like we were living half of a life, and I just couldn't understand how people could tolerate that for the rest of their lives. If you're in your early 20s and you're struggling financially, it makes perfect sense. If your parents weren't extremely wealthy, then you're going to have to do that work yourself. But it just never made sense to me how people can be in their 40s, 50s, and they've spent their entire lives complaining about not making enough money, but they haven't even tried to make more money. In most first world countries, it's not like there are no opportunities. Come on, especially nowadays with the internet and social media. In fact, as we're speaking, some of my students, they're 16 and they make $3,000 to $5,000 per month because they decided to come work with us and they started selling services online, even though initially they had no idea of what to sell and how to deliver those services for their customers. If you want to see some client success stories, I invite you to check out the first link in the description below when you're done watching this video. And so the whole reason why I wanted to become wealthy growing up was so I could be free. And by free, I mean to do whatever I want, whenever I want, to purchase anything I want without having to look at the price tag. It wasn't so I would become a slave of other people's perception. Truly wealthy people don't have to prove themselves because they live for themselves, not for others, not for society's expectations. I'm not going to have some kind of expensive Gucci shirt just because it would make people believe me more. I don't care. If I don't like it, I'm not going to buy it. And you have to realize, rich people actually worry a lot. I mean, just picture this for a moment. Inside of your big mansion, you've got 3 brand new supercars. Then now you need to have some kind of security system. Not even just CCTVs, but you also need to have some kind of personal security. Growing up, I remember somebody tried to steal my parents' friend's car and it was a shitty car. So imagine if you have a $300,000 car or 3 of them in your garage. Not to mention that when you go outside, you're constantly worried about people damaging your car. Like you can't just park it to go to the gym. I mean, you can, sure, but in your head, you're always going to worry that somebody who's jealous of your success will actually go ahead and damage it. And then repairs are pretty expensive. The same thing goes for luxury watches. I mean, you could travel with one, fly business class, but in the airport, somebody could steal it from you. You never know. So it's like you go crazy because you're literally wearing $30,000 on your wrist. So the fancy lifestyle is amazing for sure, but you need to be extremely careful because if anything, it brings more problems than you would expect. And flashing your lifestyle constantly can also attract the wrong people to you. I was very blessed to attract some very good people into my life before I even made any money. But once you become wealthier, it becomes difficult to really know who's in it for you as opposed to who's in it for what they have to gain from associating themselves with you. Which is why if right now you have your people, your family members, a partner, and they've been with you since day one, please cherish them because those people, they are more precious than all of the gold in the world. You can always make more money, you can always become richer, there's no limit, but finding the right people, people who support you, people who believe in you, who genuinely love you for who you are, not for your money, that is far more valuable and far more difficult to obtain. Now look, you need to make a choice. You're free to keep watching YouTube videos on how to become financially free, but doing that will not make you financially free. Or if you're actually part of the minority of ambitious individuals who's committed to building their business, you can check out the free resources I will leave for you in the description or directly book a call with me or my team and we'll see if we can help you to build your business to $5,000, $10,000, $15,000 per month. That being said, if you found this video helpful, share it with a friend and together let's blow up this YouTube channel to spread the message and help more people to become financially free.